So I've been asked what my favourite photos are. And firstly, obviously, as the photographer, it's really hard to pick favourites sometimes because there's a lot of attachment that goes into photos and there's a lot behind images that I remember or understand that doesn't actually come through in the image. There's some images that I really, really love because of the shooting process that aren't that great. But probably more than anything, the most embarrassing thing about my favourite photos is that as I wrote the list down, what I realised is that for a guy called Gone Buggo, most of my favourite photos are lizards. I've never denied that I love lizards, but Gone Lizardo sounds a little stupid. So, yeah, there's that. But most of my favourite photos are lizards, for different reasons though. So probably my number one top favourite photo is more a nostalgia emotional attachment thing than anything else. It's the bearded dragon photo. Now, there's a couple of different reasons why the bearded dragon photo means so much to me. The first thing, I suppose, is growing up in southeast Queensland, bearded dragons were everywhere around me, and I loved them. Loved them so much. And I used to go and catch them and cuddle them and play with them. I had a little baby one that I kept in my pocket as a pet for a little while. It just bearded dragons are one of my favourite animals ever, which is weird because they're miserable, cantankerous lizards that don't generally like a cuddle. And they make your fingers itchy when they spike you and scratch you and bite you and all of that business. But geez, I love them. And the Lego set, well, when I was going to build a set for a dragon, I was like, dragons and knights, dragons and knights. And at the time, I didn't have an awful lot of extra Lego. Like now I have heaps. But at the time, it was pretty early on in the piece. And I mainly had what I'd had from my childhood. And although I never built the castle, and I don't even think I had all the pieces by the time it got to me, I had inherited, I think it might have been my mum's Black Falcon's Fortress. So I had the people from the Black Falcon's Fortress. I had all 6 of the Black Falcons from the original fortress. And so they became the knights that were fighting the dragon. And so they were the knights that I grew up with. They were the knights that I played with as a kid. They were the knights that I built castles for as a kid. So taking those 6 knights on an adventure again at this age, after having played with them from, the earliest days of my Lego adventure, and then have it be an adventure for them with a dragon, which meant so much to me. The photos just mean the world to me. But the lizard itself was also a spectacular specimen. Unfortunately, Cookie passed away just recently, but it was a really good shoot. Everything was great. The lizard worked really well, and a lot of these sort of lunging shots coming out of the cave, we actually would put the lizard into the back of the cave and then lure it out the front with food. We had live worms that we were feeding it, little mealworms, and so I was putting the worms behind the knights, and he would lunge out of the cave at a knight and take the worm, and I'd just burst shoot the whole process. So there's some really great active shots, some really cool stuff there. So I love the photos, but I also love all the work behind it and all the nostalgia as well. Easily my number one favourite photo. My second favourite photo isn't actually that good a photo. The stalk-eyed fly is probably my second favourite photo, my favourite bug photo. And I tried to get a stalk-eyed fly for ages. I didn't even believe they existed. I found one randomly once and couldn't get a decent photo of it and could never find one again. They're incredibly elusive flies. And then I decided I was going to photograph one, so I tried to trap them. And I tried setting all sorts of humane fly traps with different types of bait, but they have a very specific diet, and I couldn't catch one, and I'd pretty much given up on it. And then I was out on a hike, and I was a kilometre away from anything, and I found one on a tree just sitting there. And so what I had to do, all I had with me was a plastic bag. So I put the bag over the fly, and the fly went into the bag, and I hiked out as fast as I could with the fly in the bag. But if I closed the bag, it would have suffocated the fly. So I had to keep opening the bag and letting air in and keep circulation going through and checking on the fly. And it was a very paranoid, very terse few hours of sort of getting from finding the fly on the tree to getting the fly photographed. And I was really worried that the fly was going to leave, but I was so ecstatic to finally have an opportunity to shoot this sort of Loch Ness monster of a fly. And it ended up that the fly was so placid, so calm, because they're a signal fly. They don't like to fly. They'd rather stand still and wiggle their wings about. That I actually end up taking the containment measures off the set and shooting it open air, because the fly just sat and crawled around on Kermit without leaving, which was just amazing. It was just astounding. And yeah, so it was a big white whale for me, that one, and the fly just it shot really well. So even though it's a very simple photo, I really, really, really like that photo because it's such a rare thing to photograph well. So that one was cool. Number 3, a lizard again. The Thorny Devil photo is one that, again, is really close to my heart. It For starters, it's a Jurassic Park reference, which is great fun. But more than that, I love Thorny Devils. They're such a unique, incredible reptile, and I loved living in the Northern Territory. I lived over in Central Australia for a couple of different occasions, and Thorny Devils were always, the peak of my time there. Finding one of them was amazing. So when we went to take a holiday back there, I knew I had to try and get a photo. So we built this set and drove 3,500 kilometers with that big set on the back seat of the car. And when we found one in the wild, it was just a matter of sort of getting the set out, getting the camera ready, and then having the lizard walk through the set in the wild. So there's, again, all of that effort, all of that attachment to the process itself and the reptile itself. But then because it was shot in open air situation, that's real spinifex in the background. That's real desert light beaming down on it. It's such a true expression of the situation. It's such a true photo to where we were, despite the fact that it's absolute garbage at the same time. We were in the middle of the desert on red sand in this lush tropical rainforest filled with dinosaurs. But the photo just worked out spectacularly. So all that effort paid off, which is really, really cool. The other one that is a bug that I'm really, really proud of is the water scorpion. Now, I had always wanted to do a toe biter, which is a similar sort of an insect with big pincers, but without that great little tail situation going on. And so I'd kind of thought about what I'd do with a toe biter anyway. But when this water scorpion showed up, I was kind of caught off guard. But I wanted to do it underwater, obviously, but I wanted it to look, I don't know, mysterious and out of place. But also water scorpions are commonly found in swimming pools, so kind of be a play on where it was found and where it's commonly found, while also making it look like a really weird and mysterious sort of thing. So my camera's waterproof anyway, which makes life a lot easier, but I had to build this swimming pool set that could be submerged without floating. So the swimming pool is a cut-off set, and it's in a Tupperware container of water. And so I've submerged the set and then submerged the camera. Well, actually, no, I submerged the set, put the scorpion into the set, and then held the camera very carefully so that it would get that split level. I now have a fisheye lens, which would make a split level photo a lot easier, but at the time it was just very, very carefully looking through a Tupperware box to see what the camera sort of try and get the photo. But it worked out so well to have the man's legs in the water but have him out of the water, his little rubber ducky floaty ring thing there. It just worked out really great. So there's that, which I'm really, really happy with. And then the last one is a lizard again. And don't get me wrong, I don't have any particular emotional attachment to geckos. Northern tree tellers are cool, and it was a cute lizard, and it was really nice to handle, and it was all good. But this particular photo probably means more to me because it's a Ninja Turtle, and I love the Ninja Turtles. But the bit that I love about the photo is just how good the light works. Because this is like the most stupidly simple setup you could have. I built a tunnel so you could put an animal into it and it'd come out the side wall of the sewer. I built the sewer wall and the platform that it was going to be standing on, and then I just built a roof over the top of it and made a circle in the roof so that when I shone a light down in that manhole, it would look exactly like light coming into a dark space through a circular hole. It seems really dumb, but to have that work as well as it did, one source of light, one opening, just that one beam going through, and have the lizard be looking at the turtle be looking at the lizard, and have it all be lit perfectly, yeah, it's pretty mint. So yeah, they would easily be my top 5 favorites at this stage. But there's lots of other photos that I like for lots of other reasons. So it's really hard to sort of narrow it down. And I do feel bad about the fact that most of them are lizards, but I really love lizards and I'm not going to apologize for that. So yeah, that's my favorite photos.